Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into a forensic breakdown of one of the most meticulously planned absolute mastermind cyber attacks in modern history. We're going to explore the psychological motives behind it, the frankly unbelievable technical execution, and the catastrophic consequences of sheer corporate hubris. It's a pretty stark reminder of just how fragile the digital infrastructure we all rely on actually is. Basically, this is a story about what happens when the person you ignore turns out to be the person holding all the cards.
Okay, let's dive right into this by painting a picture of our central figure, Chia-hao Chen, and the environment that created him. So picture this. The scene is a factory cafeteria. It smells like fried scallion pancakes and cheap instant coffee. Chen is sitting there, totally alone. He's an older architect, and his fingers are stained this deep, permanent amber from decades of unfiltered cigarettes. Now, just 2 tables over, a group of 24-year-old QA testers in their crisp company polos are laughing at him. They literally call him Stinky Fingers, making this big, theatrical show of waving their hands in front of their noses. It's a scene of deep, really public disrespect. And Chen? He just sits there, quietly looking down at his soup.
Bashir is the massive pivot, the guy they were openly mocking, the man they treated as a complete joke. He literally held the master firmware overrides for Meta's entire East Asian server pipeline right in his pocket. Think about that for a second. Just the day prior, one of those young testers had spent 4 hours practically crying at his desk over a crashed testing suite. Chen fixed it in 40 seconds without saying a single word. They desperately needed his brain, but they used his loneliness to make themselves feel superior.
Section 1. The Disrespected Genius.
And this brilliantly illustrates the foundational tension of our entire narrative. On one hand, you have his pathetic daily reality, right? A totally flat salary for 8 long years, relentless mockery from junior staff, and a daily routine fueled by cheap instant coffee. But then, on the other hand, you have his godlike digital power. He holds the master overrides. He writes code that fixes massive routing loops in mere seconds. The gap between how he is treated and the immense power he actually wields is essentially a pressure cooker just waiting to explode.
Section 2. A Global Meltdown. Well, that simmering tension absolutely explodes into chaos. The cafeteria doors just slam open, and Director Wong bursts in, frantic, looking for the very man everyone was just laughing at. He's panicking because they are experiencing a cascading failure. Now, if you aren't familiar, this is a terrifying domino effect. The core routers in California went dark, then London dropped. It was a literal planetary shutdown. The sheer scale of the panic was so intense that Western media had already dubbed the anonymous architect of this flaw the Reaper. They thought they were being attacked by a ghost. But Wong? He knew exactly who wrote code that complex.
Chen's revenge played out with rapid, unblinking precision. It's like clockwork. At 9:14 a.m., he's quietly eating his soup while the testers mock him. 10 minutes later, global core routers go dark. We'll get into how he fixes it in a second, but exactly 30 minutes after the fix, a crucial wire transfer gets reversed. And then, precisely 30 minutes after that, a full systematic crash hits the building. Everything unfolded exactly to his timeline.
Section 3. The Corporate Double Cross.
So, we arrive at a pivotal moment of extortion. Wong begs Chen to fix the network, frantically pointing out that the board of directors is on the line. Chen agrees, but he demands a $5 million transfer into his Taipei central account. Wong authorizes it immediately, no questions asked. Chen calmly walks to the server room, plugs in his flash drive, and the global crash flattens into peaceful green waves. But the peace doesn't last. 30 minutes later, Chen checks his bank account. $0.00. The wire transfer had been reversed. It was a corporate recall. Wong betrayed him the literal second the servers were safe. But what's truly terrifying here is Chen's reaction. He doesn't gasp. He doesn't slam his fists on his desk. He just lets out this quiet, dry chuckle.
Exactly 30 minutes later, the office lights flicker, monitors go gray, and every single phone in the building rings at once. Wong kicks open the door to Chen's engineering bay, flanked by security. But Cubicle 4B is empty. The computer tower is completely gone. All that's left sitting in the center of the desk is a scrap of paper with the words, "What you sow, so shall you reap," directly above a meticulous, hand-drawn Hanzi character for death, the Reaper.
Section 4. The True Harvest. Now, what's really interesting here is what we find out next. As the scene shifts to a secluded islet in the Penghu archipelago, inside this weathered, iron-roofed shack packed with ultra-wide monitors, we learn a massive secret. That $5 million demand? It was entirely a decoy, a total smokescreen. On Chen's hidden secondary screen, we see an encrypted offshore account in the Cayman Islands. The balance is over $18.4 million. This was a surcharge skim, meticulously gathered from 2023 to 2026. He had been harvesting this fortune for years, right under their noses.
So here's the absolute crucial takeaway. Chen wasn't reacting to Wang's betrayal. He orchestrated it. Actually, he had simulated Wang's corporate greed 18 months ago, calculating the exact standard deviation of his cowardice. The reversed wire transfer was never a failure for Chen. It was the trigger to initiate Project Eclipse, Phase 2. It was basically the final signature on Wang's metaphorical death warrant. He didn't just break their network, guys. He bought their future.
Let's move to Section 5, three-dimensional chess.
You see, Chen isn't just playing a game of theft. He's playing a game of total systemic manipulation. Earlier, Director Wang told Chen that the Silicon Valley engineers couldn't fix the crash because the logic was shifting on multiple planes at once, almost like three-dimensional chess. This is known as predictive cyber logic. It's not just code, it's a strategy that anticipates human behavior and countermeasures months in advance. So Wang's terrified quote about Chen's code logic, it actually described Chen's overarching life strategy.
Let's see how this plays out in reality. Over in Washington, D.C., FBI Special Agent Richard Powell takes the case, realizes it's a multi-layered attack pattern, and immediately books a flight to Taipei. But on the other side of the world, we see Chen sitting in a shack during a tropical storm, getting an automated alert from an FAA scraper. Listen to this. 14 months ago, Chen created a folder of FBI target probabilities. Agent Powell was at the very top of that list. Chen had modeled Powell's career trajectory and psychological profile before Powell even knew the case existed. No way, right? Which leaves us with a genuinely terrifying realization. Chen greeted that digital notification of Powell's flight by simply whispering, "Welcome to the board, Agent Powell. You're right on time." With a calculated 87.4% probability of this exact pursuit, we really have to ask ourselves, is the FBI actually hunting the Reaper, or are they just walking blindly into his next meticulously designed trap? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the systems you rely on, and we will catch you next time.